Right, so shall we talk about the equipment in the Master?
Sure.
So the first thing is that here at the bottom we have the interfaces from the drives. So that's the other end of the cable from the drive cabinet that feed these two switches. Now we get these pair of switches in the A press and the B press, but not in the standby. The standby is connected to them, and they're all connected to the same Ethernet together. Now, these switches are dual fed, because if we have a drive master we wish to turn off, we have to keep the switches live, otherwise we will lose the press and not be able to talk to any of the drives on that press. So you can see there are two lights, and that's showing that both power supplies are feeding. If I turned this off, one of them would go out. So in the B master, we are dual fed from the standby master also. In the A master, we are fed from the master itself and the folder drive. I've added a power supply in the folder drive so that we can turn the master off and still be able to run the press from the standby because the switches are live.
That's 24 volts?
Yes.
DC?
Yes.
Okay.
And these are fed from these power supplies.
We're going to order a couple of those.
And there's another little one in the folder drive up there which I found.
Okay.
Found it lying about. I think it was Kelvin's.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have left it there.
Reappropriate.
So that's what that comprises of. So that's the Ethernet network. On top of that, there is in the switching cabinet here another Ethernet switch and a NAT. Now that Ethernet switch has a cable from each of the folder masters to the switch, which commons up the whole network for the whole set of equipment. There is a link to the press, and there is a link to the CM.
Now that nadir that's up there is the exact same one that we use in all the press units?
Yes,
Same software?
it'll have a different configuration in there, but it's effectively the same part.
So we would need to configure it before we put one in here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what that is. That's it. The power supply in this power supply is the same as the one that's in the drive master. I've just noticed that.
Now all of this software, including the program for the nadir, is on the central maintenance?
It is when you've uploaded it.
So it hasn't been uploaded?
No, we haven't uploaded it. It will get uploaded either today or tomorrow,
Okay.
so that it's current. And then I believe Glosses will take a backup of it to keep on their server.
Sure.
So that's the Ethernet network. Yes, because one of them cables, if you lose that, you lose communications with the press.
Right.
Not that affects the running of anything. The press will still run if you lose that network.
Just want to communicate with it.
You won't get any alarms on the desks. That's the only thing it's there for. It's not there for the controller. It's diagnostics only.
And how would you know that you lost it?
I think you'll get a message on the desk.
Okay.
I think we've seen that.
What are all the relays down by the...
Okay, so we have a set of relays. Now, most of the relays in here are to do with the interlocking of to the GOS system and the old equipment. The standard interface relays that come in the thing called cabinet. And you can see this on the drawers, the PDAs, the PDBs, the PDCs, them functions there.
Okay, are they labeled, or how do we know what's what?
They're labelled, but they're labelled K something or others, as are all the relays. And if we go to the Drive Master drawings, the relay page, there's a list of all the relays. There's all the coils, so you can tie them back to these coils. And as you can see, there's all the PD whatevers. And there's some more on another page.
I have a lot of labels to make.
What do you feel? Do you feel that you might like to label all them functions?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Save God time in the middle of the night.
Or even during the day.
46. I thought I had some more relays somewhere. I'm sure I do. There we are. So there's the safe and the ready, and the alarm, tension, the PDI. So that's the bell and the lights.
So, I know I should. Okay, so that's our traveler. That's a normally closed. That's a normally open contact.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the thing you notice here, there's like for instance the safe and the ready and the bell, we're only using one contact. So if you find that one of them contacts fails,
Switch it over to another one.
you can move it to another contact and you've got 3 goes at it as long as it doesn't weld.
Okay. Gotcha.
So it's a good thing to do.
Now I've gotten used to reading these drawings as
That's an output.
Yeah, it's always an output. If the triangle is down and pointing at the wire, the point of the triangle is at the wire. Is it always an output?
Let's look at an input. As you've asked that question. It's the standard symbol. So the
The
input's
input's always pointing at the flat side of the
the
triangle.
inputs, so it's always pointing at. So in this case, it's pointing to the output, and in this case, it's an input. They always say in as well. Whilst we're on this sheet here, every drive has got 2 wires that come from it to the masters. Now if the drive is how I've wired it, if the drive is selectable to a given master, it gets its pair of wires. One of these says it's on, the other says it's selected it's expected to select to the press. So each drive's got a pair. Now I haven't wired all the non-selectable wires from B into A and all the other way round. So we'll find that the terminal blocks here, which have to do with the selection, these are the selection terminals. So the drives available to this press has got all its wires that drive the inputs. Now you'll notice in the standby Drive Master, everything is connected. So that's got the whole set of drives.
That makes sense.
And I have done for it showing which ones are connected to which masters yesterday. Now, the other thing to remember about this is that if we look at the Drive Masters, where we started from, we had a FinCore system in here, and we've got 2 sets of terminals. One I had to add because there was plugs and sockets in the A and the B, but not in the standby, which go to these plugs and sockets in the switching card. So we have, for the Drive Master, terminal block there, which is an internal one. That's the internal, and this one here, which is also an internal one, which is to do with all this signaling to go to the switching cabinet. The original terminal blocks are actually the press terminal blocks for the press B in this instance, and the same in the other one. to the press A. So these are the press terminals. These are the new ones are the internals.
So really, all of our PDA, PDB, PDC, PD, they're all coming off of that terminal strip?
To the press.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And that's how it's always been. So I connect them to this terminal, which goes down all these yellow wires into here, and it lets us select them
Okay.
using their big switches.
Ian's in the standby master selection cabinet right now.
Yeah, so there's the wires there. Now, in the standby cabinet itself, it's only got one set. And this is the set that's the standby set. There is no internal ones. They're directly connected to here, which go the yellow wires which go to the switch.
Okay.
So that's the difference. That's why it's a bigger job rebuilding these ones and this one. This is the standard one. I've seen them many places. These ones are unusual. I've not come across these before. What else about that? We have a small 12-volt regulator. That is to provide power for the sensors on the press, which used to be the Fincal tacho pulse things, and they still use them sensors for giving a speed indication on the new consoles. So we had to provide them with power so that they produce their pulses for the, and that's what this
That's
is.
actually on the quality dash. That's
Yeah,
where we're getting.
yeah.
Okay.
It actually goes into the old console to the PLC, but that's what these were put in when we did that. So we've still got to keep them powered. And as you said before, we have the tower relays which are slaved off.
And those tower relays do wire directly to the tower. They go. You think so?
I think they go to here first.
Well, okay, they go to selection, right? They would go to selection first, but
Yeah.
it's just a separate set of function connections for the towers.
Yeah. Because they're using some wires which are called SP1 to SP6, which I think was spare switch contacts when that was added.
What's our great big jumper all about down in that terminal block that we
What's
discussed?
this?
No, this.
Oh, that's just a common in. That's the signal that comes from the master is the drive enable signal, the 724, which comes off here. Now there's a number of wires to go, so it's just a common in bar to connect the terminals together. The 724s for B.
Okay, they're all fed off the bottom. I didn't see anything connected to the top, but everything's connected off the bottom.
Yeah,
Okay.
and there's one, because of the nature, you could effectively loop between the drives, but because of the nature, when we rebuild these things, we put a new wire in and common it up here, because you can't put the 724 in all the drives. Well, you could, I suppose, until you rewire it. But that's what that is. It's just a common block, just the way I did it, really. So, any questions about this?
Well, we got another whole row of relays here. What's going on with this row of relays?
Well, that's just more of the same, which is to do with these interlocks. If we look at a number there and look on the page, we will see which one it is. If you
Let's
pick
do
one.
that. Pick one. Here is, I can't read, I have my glasses on. That second one over, K55?
What, this one?
Yeah,
K53.
K53?
So if we look on our drawing set, K53 on the relay page. When we find the relay page. There we are. So it should be somewhere. There we are. PDS.
PDS?
Yes. 453.
Okay. So those are the new PDs.
Any idea what function PDS has?
Well, I can look in the software what we think it is. As you asked the question.
Because like I would like to label each of these relays in the cabinet, so to have a function to label them would be really helpful. I would have to go through all the ladders to get that.
No. I have a secret document as well. PDS. It's intended to be closed an inch. It drives slitters. That doesn't mean an HO has slitters. You've got to remember some of these things are generic.
Right.
See, I have this also, this document.
Aha.
Yeah, I'd like a copy of that cheat sheet. And any others you have.
Now, this tells it, this is an overview on GOS presses, what all these signals do, or intended for. Now, this covers all the GOS presses from metros to colour liners, and you know, like this one here, this one, this one that says HO units. Not all of them are always used, but to save any trouble and time, if they're on the old Fincore drawings, they get put in. And if
Oh, sure. I'm just saying, for troubleshooting purposes, I would like to be able to label, like if they're related to some function, to help the guys out when they're middle of the night, something breaks.
Is that all on that page, Ian, or do you have another?
yeah, no, that's all.
That's it?
But you could, I mean, if you want to take a copy
Yeah,
of it.
we
Yes,
will.
please.
I don't mind.
Okay. So you were on this page in your software. You were on
So this is
level
the-
detection.
This is the level detectors here. Now, a little while ago, we were having a bit of a discussion about PDFs and stuff, and this is the levels which they're set at. And what was the other one? PDL, which was to do with the oil.
Yes, no oil warning or something.
Now, where's the PDL? We're here. PDL. So that starts the PDL at 5k. I think it was the PDF, which is actually the one that the PDF is not just used for the severers. That's to do with the detectors. So these are the places where you'd set the levels, and this is what they do. We don't put them on HMIs because they're not things you're meant to mess with too much. But if you feel that you want, like the detector's arming at a different speed or anything, you can
Yes,
change
the ladder,
you can
right.
change it in this ladder.
Okay. What else do we have in the cabinet?
What else do we have in the cabinet?
What do we have in the can, man?
Well, we've done all the interlocks, we've done the terminals, we've done the power supply, and then we got the PLC.
These contactors, this whole row of contactors.
These are all these interlocks, PDAs and PDBs and PDCs and such like, and they're wired as per the original system.
And the reason for using the larger contact versus a relay?
Wow, I've got another document somewhere, and I don't know if I've got it anymore because I had it in Harlan's. But all this stuff I've got over the years, sort of thing. We got kicked out, so I didn't get everything. Now, they specify how much current that these have to be capable of.
Right.
And I put the contactors in there so that I, met what
Based on the current load.
Now, a lot of these things go back to the days of metros, these interlocks.
Okay.
So they're probably well rated.
So the bottom line is they're labeled too. There's a K28. Am I looking at?
Yeah.
K28.
Yes.
So we go back to the drawing here. And here's K28.
What's that one?
PDE. PDE is in Edward.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're still doing all the. These are all K relays,
Yeah.
and they're all on that page actually.
There's some on the other page which are private at the bottom.
A49A.
What's that?
A49A.
Say that one more time.
K49A.
And that's the power on relay.
Yeah, so it's K49 and 49A.
Which one is this?
That's 49.
And that's 49A?
Yeah, they're both in parallel. That function requires all them contacts.
Wow.
Why is there a time delay on the drive enable?
Because whatever happens after 15 seconds, that will dump the drive enable and force the contactors out should anything else happen. It's to do with the e-stopping of the press system.
Did you get that?
It disables the drive after 15 seconds when you put a stop in. Say for instance we're stopping and the man presses the stop or something else presses the stop.
Right.
And it doesn't stop. Whatever. After 15 seconds, if that's had a hardware stop, that will pull the enable off.
Okay. That's just an extra added safety to make sure it comes off.
Yeah.
All right, here's an important question. Am I killing you guys with my garlic breath? Is it like,
No.
Okay, good. So tell us about the PLC, inputs and outputs, and what's going on here with the PLC.
Okay, right. So the inputs and outputs of the PLC, the easiest way to worry about that is on the screen.
And I'll tell you what, Ian, hold up. I just hit 22 minutes. I'm going to stop and restart.